Hey everyone, and first of all, congratulations to Angular team for Angular 12 release. And today we are going to talk about what's new and what are the different features which we have in Angular 12, and as well as I have my portfolio built using Angular. It's it's not that complicated. I mean, I still have to use SSR and so many things, but yeah, it uses Angular. So I'll also upgrade the Angular. I will also upgrade this to Angular 12 to see what's new, what is getting changed. So just to give you an idea, it uses I had actually added Scully before, but I had to actually roll it back for some time. So the plan is to actually add Scully back, but right now you can see I'm using Angular 11.2. And before we move on to like upgrade Angular 12, I'll talk about two features which I really like about Angular 11.11 and especially 11.2.0, where actually I just got a lot of boost to my Lighthouse score without doing anything. So I just upgraded my applications to 11.2.0, my portfolio to 11.2.0, and the Lighthouse score actually increased. So let's see, it's deployed at Santosh Yadav Dev. Here, so let's see the Lighthouse score. It was really bad, let me tell you before, because of course I'm working on it on my free time. And as so, let's see Lighthouse score for my homepage. And it is suggested that you should use webpage.org. But yeah, let's see the score on Lighthouse as of now. The average user device cost less than 200 USD. Okay. And okay, so what happened here? Uh, uh, okay, I'm not sure what happened, but let's see this in probably incognito mode because it is always suggested in case. Hey Lars, hi. So in case you're actually looking to generate your Lighthouse score, always do it in incognito mode because uh, your extensions, right? So they might affect your Lighthouse score in case you're doing it in normal mode. So, and then we'll move on to see the features which we have. And why should you migrate to 12? I mean, let's see that. If you are using anything below 11, let me just try to convince you to at least upgrade to 11.2.0. So, uh, almost there, and hope. Okay, I'm sure something is wrong. Okay, so you can see accessibility 9552 because it was 29 before. So before I just upgraded to 11.2.0, it was 29 and it was really bad. So it increased because of two features which we have in 11.2.0. I think one in 11.2.0 and just another 11.1.0 if I'm not wrong. The another feature was launched. So if I go to angular.json, you have something known as optimizations, right? So here in with 11.2.0, you get multiple properties. So there is something called fonts. So if you make it like it's by default, it's true, I think. But if you it's in 12 it is true. And similarly, there is something called styles. So let me just do styles and see these two properties. So inline critical and minify. So inline critical was false before 11 till 11.2.0. Now it is true. So these two features in inline critical CSS, and in fonts you have something known as inline fonts. So if you make it true, it actually improves your performance by a lot because it actually inlines the font which your users are actually supposed to download when they access the application. But with these two features, at your build time, your fonts will be inlined, your critical CSS will be inlined. So it will save the round trip which happens when your users actually tries to access your application. But there is something which I want to tell you. In case you are running it on CI, it's possible that the Google URLs are blocked on your CI, and you may get an error called error in generating index.html. That's very, I mean, you won't be able to understand what's wrong suddenly because you just upgraded to Angular 12 and or 11.2.0 and your build started getting failed. So just remember fonts inlining and in critical CSS. In case your CI doesn't allow to connect to the any other URL, right? Most of the time it is yes, they are not allowed. So you can just go ahead and make them false, and that's it. So you won't be able to, of course, get the advantage of this extra optimization, which is by default done for you. But yes, I mean, you will be able to make your CI work, and probably you can actually get in touch with your DevOps team and see how you can make it work. I would suggest get it enabled because that's a performance optimization, and you don't have to even write a single line of code. So if you just do optimization true, you get all this optimization by default. Don't have to do anything. So just remember this error generating index.html, and then you just remember this is the workaround. So you have to just disable inlining critical CSS and as well as inlining the fonts. So that's up to 11.2.0, and now let's see what's there in Angular 12, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade my local CI, local CLI, Angular CLI, and I'm going to create a new application using Angular 12. So let's see what's the difference. I mean, what's the difference between like Angular 11 and Angular 12 app? So let's start. Yeah. So let's see which version I have. Probably it should be 11.2.0 if I'm not wrong. I have not upgraded my application. Shit. Okay. Sorry. So it's not about Gatsby. Sorry. Actually, I just forgot to change the topic. I mean, the title for this particular stream is probably my OBS was doing something. I'm not able to. Uh, okay, I'm not able to send update the tweets information. That's really bad. Let's see if I can, but let's not waste a lot of time. But let's see if I can do that. Which mhm. Okay, this is clip to be published, but yeah, I can edit from here. So it's Angular 12 after party, right? And then this is not talk show, but this is, and thanks a lot, Lars. So select tag, programming. Yep, done. So yeah, it's updated. Hope. Yeah, so let's see this. So I have right Angular CLI. You can see, as I said, I'm in Angular CLI 11.2.0. Let's upgrade to 12. So I can just do npmi at the rate Angular slash CLI. So I want to update my global version. Okay. So now you can see it actually upgraded to Angular CLI 12.0.0, and you can of course verify it by just running ng-f version and tell you, okay, now you have Angular CLI 12 and Node version is 14.15.5 for me. And package manager, I also have Yarn for my other applications, but yeah. So let's create a new application. So I'll move into a new folder. I'll create a new Angular 12 folder here. and let's create a new application. Give some. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, there was a spammer, so I had to block him. Now let's create a new application. So I'm going to use, of course, ng-new, and let's call it as ng12 after party, right? And let's see what has changed with CLI. So this question was same. Would you like to add Angular routing? Yes, I want to. And then you can choose CSS as less. You can see stylus has been removed. I think stylus is not an option anymore. But in Angular 11 point or Angular 11, you might have seen one option called, do you want to enable strict mode? So now Angular is not asking that question anymore, whether I want to enable the strict mode or not. There was an, I think, discussion. There was an RFC, I'm not sure, but yeah, there was a discussion uh, about enabling the strict mode by default, which is done. So now Angular 12 uses strict mode by default. Remember that. So in case you are starting a new application, you don't have that option to choose whether you want to enable or enable the strict mode because it's already enabled for us. So let's see. So let's see what else there is there once our application is created. So it's already done. So it is installing the packages. So let's go back to application and see what's generated for us. Hmm. Okay, so first thing, I am not able to see any E2E folder. So support for protector has been removed from Angular 12. So you have to bring your own E2E framework. Go ahead and see NX Devtools. I think so. They have protector by default. Sorry, not protector, but Cypress by default, and you can use NX in case you want to start an application and you want to choose the E2E framework from the day one. But Angular CLI and there are Angular CLI has given two options which can come in future. I mean that won't be included in CLI, but it will be included by the vendors. So first is of course Cypress. You already have some third-party schematics which you can use to add uh, this Cypress support into Angular application. But Cypress team is also working on it to make that migration smooth. As well as another is WebDriver.io, which is similar to Protector in few terms because it uses the Selenium WebDriver. So you can also use WebDriver.io. So that's two options you have. What else? So you don't have E2E command here. You also don't have linting here. So where is that gone? So just to let you know, the TS-lint reached end of life like last December 2020, and it's not included anymore with Angular 12. So there is no linting by default. But of course, thanks to the community, we already have something known as Angular ESLint. Shout out to James Henry, so who actually created the Angular ESLint package, which you can use, and you can use it like by using the schematics provided, or in case you want to move out and use something else, again, go ahead and check out NX DevTools. So NX DevTools has E2E framework. It has your linting, ESLint, Angular ESLint, which is available by default. And ESLint was actually something which was available from day one. So, but thanks to NX again, they have added a migration in case you want to upgrade your Angular 11 application, which is where you are using NX DevTools. You can use the migration to actually migrate to Angular ESLint with NX12. So again, shout out to NX team. They have already released the support for Angular 12. That was really fast. I didn't expected it because every time I have to at least wait for 2 weeks to get the support for whichever version is recently released. But it was like within one day. I mean, NX12 came in with an Angular 12, and again, another shout out to NGRX team. They also have launched the or released the support for Angular 12. So you can also migrate NX, uh, NGRX 12 as well with Angular 12. So go ahead and check them out in case you are planning to migrate. And what else? So uh, I think rest of the things are same. I mean, you have your default application and that's it. But yeah, default mode, right? So what about default mode? Sorry, strict mode. So as I said, strict mode is enabled by default, and this is something which you can see here in tsconfig.json, strict true, and this is what makes your application complying to all the flags, all the strict flags. But of course, you can override, not override, but don't do that. Probably don't override it, but you have to actually make sure that you are not using any anymore. So that was anyways not suggested before, but try to avoid using any. But there are few cases where you may think strict mode is actually making some issues. For example, one is let's say you have view child and you are trying to use view child. Let's say this is test text div, and generally this is what we do, right? So element ref of type any, and you will start getting this error, right? So you can see it is, let's wait, I'm not sure why my machine is slow. One scenario where I found is view child, and probably you may have to, this is one way to actually override in such cases, but this actually uh, if you are using this operator here, so it will actually removes this strict check. So you can see this is an error. It says property has no initializer. This is what you will face, or you will see this error pretty often in case you are trying to use strict mode, that okay, this property has no initializer. There are multiple ways whether you can actually go ahead and give a default value. So, or if you want to just disable this strict type check, you can just use this operator, or you can just do something like this, undefined. Yeah. So this is another way, and I think this is pretty neat because of course your value can be either of type element ref or undefined. So your type check is still there rather than actually using this symbol, which is which I used to use before because it was in Angular docs, but it is not suggested because it will just, and it will remove the strict type check. So just use or undefined. I think this is the best way you can actually still work with strict type check, strict mode. Also, strict in compiler option is for TypeScript. Yeah, actually, yeah. Thanks, Lars. So this is Angular compiler option, and these are some strict flags which you have enabled. So okay, so apart from this, what else is there? So generally, what this is what I do whenever I write a new blog post. With every new version, actually I refer to changelog and I just read the entire changelog to see what has been changed, because in Angular blog post which you see, right? So it highlights, of course, the most important features which is released, but of course there are many more features or bug fixes which are done. So let's see what you have here. So there is this feature which is with Angular 12.1.0 next. Let me just zoom in. Hmm. So it says support directive selector with attribute containing dollar. Okay, let's see this. So it adds support for dollar in attribute type directive. Okay, so when you create an attribute type directive, and you can also use dollar, I think, in the name. So let's see what is it about. So there is an issue which is 41244, and it says Angular version 11, and it says, okay, let's see this stack blitz. Probably it will not work, but I'll see the code. So it says, okay, you have a selector, my action, and then output with my action dollar, and it doesn't work earlier. So you have my actions dollar. So this doesn't used to work before, but I think this is something which is fixed in Angular 12. So okay, this is nice. So you can just go ahead and use dollar still just to make sure. I mean that okay, this is an event. I'm sure this is what the feature is to make sure that okay, this is an event stream. So it is an event emitter, and then it emits something console.log event, console.log init. Okay, so this is something which will allow you to use dollars in your attribute-based directive. This is a new feature. And let's see, there are some performance improvements, bug fixes, platform browser, forms. Okay, I think this is Angular 12, I'm sure, because it contains a big list of all the features and bug fixes. So let's see, let's start from the bottom. And probably I will write a blog post in more detail what each feature is. I have not written a blog post for a long time. So I think this is a good time to write a blog post now because I have been covering every release from Angular 8, Angular 8, 9, 10, 11, okay, 12. Let's see. You have upgrade. So this is a feature. Yeah, this is a feature. So update supported range of node version. So let's see which node version is supported now. So upgrades the repository to use Node 14 and removes the support for Node 10. Okay, so this is something which you have to take care because I can guarantee most of the application, probably enterprises, they might be using Node 10 still. If you have not migrated to Node 12 or 14, just go ahead and do that. I think you can use something between Node 12 and Node 14. That's absolutely fine. But now Node 14 is also supported. Node 16 is already there, but uh, you have to use Node 14 right now with Angular 12. This is good. Update supported range of, okay, so this is something which is related to the Node version. This is router, allow the custom router outlet implementation. Okay, so let's see this feature. What's this? Okay, okay, Andrew Scott, who actually works on router, created this. This formalizes documents and makes public the router outlet contract. Okay, let's see. Creation of custom router outlets are possible and used by any framework. So you can create your own custom router outlet. This is what it means. In case you are not aware of what router outlet is, so in case you use, of course, your router, you place router outlet, right? So this is what it is referring to, but you can create your own. So that's pretty good. And let's see what it does. Files change. Okay, so you can on child outlet created. So you have router outlet contract, router outlet implements router outlet contract. So you have activated route. I think this is detached, activated, is activated component. Okay, this is, let's see what Tiny framework has done. They have their own implementation. Current activated route. Parent context on child outlet created. Okay, so this is what they have done on child outlet created. So they are implementing their own router outlet, and they have now made this contract public. Probably have to dig more into it, but sounds like a good feature. Add more fine-tuned control in router link active options. Let's see what is added here. So router link active, I'm sure you might have used it. So in case you want to make sure that okay, your current active router outlet is highlighted, or you want to pass some custom CSS, I think this is which you can use. But I think they have added more. Input was expanded to allow more fine-tuned control that can include property many to gift account for the new type. Okay, so they have added more types. Let's see what's those. Okay, so is active match options. This is something new. So they have fragment, matrix params, paths, query params. Okay, so they have added few extra properties. Is active is deprecated now. Okay, this is something which is related to, of course, properties. And then you have router link active options, exec or is active match options, right? So is active match options are, I think this is the interface. So you can pass multiple parameters including fragment. You have query params, okay. So based on query params, you can also make your router link active, okay. Matrix params, paths. So this is something I think this will allow more control what you want to do with router link active option. But add migration, okay, this is something migration. Add supported range, okay, so again node version. Platform browser, it's okay. Add script to migrate away from, okay, this is I think localization. Angular language service, I mean, if you are not aware, Angular 11 introduced us to a new language service, new Angular language service, where it uses iv. So earlier it was using view engine. Now the new language service which we have uses iv. So these are all related to Angular language service. Expose list of human readable HTTP status codes. This is really nice feature. I think it will make code more readable. But because earlier we used to do with HTTP response and something which you may have seen, but now you have more fine-grained actually status codes. So you can see. Let's see the PR. See the PR. Yeah. So these are all status codes which are available now. So you can see, you can actually see if your response is forbidden, 403, 404 not found, unauthorized, bad request. So now you can actually just compare it with the correct status code, right? Rather than actually looking into HTTP response and then figuring out what's going wrong. So now you have this status codes available, and then you can just use this status codes. That's pretty good. So here, so you can see rather than actually doing HTTP status 200, you can see HTTP status codes .ok, and you can just read what the status code is. I mean, this is generally we use whenever you are working with API, so you are aware of those status codes already. You don't have to guess. Let's see what this is a feature actually I heard about because few of my friends were like really interested into this feature. So you can now pass HTTP context. You can pass context to HTTP context, or I mean, whenever you are working with HTTP calls. Let's see what's this. I think recently Nathaniel has written a small blog post on this topic. So, and I have to figure it out what's this, but you can actually set some context and you can call it from another method, or you can actually set some context, and then you can actually access those context from any HTTP call which you make. So recently another of my one of my friends, Serkan, he is also pretty excited about this feature because he was implementing something where he wanted to pass the context during interceptors, and that's what he has done. So I think this is a good feature request in case someone wants to set some context and then use it in your HTTP calls. This is something which you can do, but I have to explore it more, what this is about. Introduce min and max validators. This is something which Sonu was working on. So Sonu is one of the core collaborator in Angular. He implemented this. So yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware, but min max, like they never used to work with as a validator. So now this is possible. So min max works as suggested. So you can start using in Angular 11 and 12. Before Angular 12, I think most of the min-max validators was like uh, some, your own implementation, because I think they had a lot of issues. So now it is possible. You can just use min-max validators, and it will absolutely work fine. So yep, and recently in Angular 12 release also, right? So it was highlighted that min-max validators are available now. What's new? Okay, let's see what's next. Add emit event option to abstract control class methods. Okay, so let's see this. add emit event option for abstract control based class methods. Okay, let's see. So we have this clear, which will, okay, insert, push, remove at, set control, add control. Okay, so all these methods will now emit an event, and you can pass this as an option. Where you can access it, I think you can just listen to all these changes on your changes method. So I think there is already, let's see this file. I'm sure if you know, there should be value changes, value changes, right? So this is where you can actually listen to all the events which is emitted, and now you have that option. So whenever you add a new control and you want to make sure that something happens, so you can just subscribe to value changes, and then whenever you add a control, I think that event will be emitted and you will be aware, okay, this add control is added, or if you remove control. So this was not available earlier, but now they have added it. So this is nice. So I can just subscribe to on changes, and I'll still get the updates what's happening inside my controls or my form controls. Again, this is node version app initializer. So if you have ever used app initializer before, so we had to actually just make it either if you're using observable, you had to actually go ahead and say dot to promise, right? So because it was always using promises, it was never observable. So now this is available, and it was this feature request was actually implemented by one of the Angular GDE. So yep, so your Don Z, I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So he's part of ng Zoro, which is another UI library for Angular. And yeah, you can actually use it now. You don't have to work with promises anymore. If you're using app initializer, you can just use observable as it is. Drop support for zone.js, that's absolutely fine. Precise type for app initializer token. Okay, so this is, let's see, probably earlier it was promise, now what it is. So app initializer was promised and observable. So only promise and observable are awaited. Okay, and now it is promises, observable, or void. Okay, so void has been added. Okay, cool. So Anas added this feature. Let's see what we have. More annotated TypeScript 4.2. Yep. So now you have TypeScript 4.2 support. And again, I think get directive metadata. This is 4. This is compiler. More to append all method. Implement append all method on HTTP params. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see what is this. Common Harun. Okay, so we had append and now append all. So what it takes is you can pass multiple parameters. Okay, this is key. Okay, and then okay. So you can pass multiple key values. This is what it looks like. Yeah. So A, B, and it will be appended into HTTP params. Okay, this is nice. So you don't have to do append and dot append. So now you can just do append all, and then you can pass key values, which is your params, and it will be done. That's good. History, go update supported range. This is also, I think, a lot of people were excited about. You can actually disable the animation by passing some configuration. So you can just you can just use with config where you can pass disable animation true. And there was a blog post where it was discussed that okay, you can also based on your machine settings, right? So based on your Windows settings, you can also disable your animation. For example, if someone has opted out to not run animation, which can be enabled by your on your machine with some configuration. I don't remember that configuration, but that can be enabled. And this is a nice feature in case your user don't want that animation to be executed, or they don't want to see the animation. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah. So you can see disable animation, and you can pass window.match media prefers reduced motion. So if you have your users have prefers reduced motion on their machine enabled, so it will not run the animation. So that's cool. That's great feature. Okay, I think most of them are bug fixes. What's not there? So you don't have still RxJS 7 support. So in case you are using Angular 12, it is not by default. You will still find RxJS 6 point something, but you can use RxJS 7. I think many developers have. I have seen some posts that they migrated to RxJS 7. There shouldn't be any breaking changes, so it is safe, but don't try to do it in your big enterprise application. Probably you may break something. So just be, I mean, just keep that in mind. Not to use RxJS 7 in your enterprise application, but give it a try. If everything works fine, I think that's pretty cool. Because RxJS 7 has, but the bundle size has reduced. It was 54 KB. I think, yeah, it was 54 KB last time I saw the post from Ban. So give it a try. Give it a try and update to RxJS 7. Probably, if not your enterprise application, in your hobby projects, if you're using RxJS extensively, I think that will be a great help to the RxJS team as well to figure out what's breaking, right? So these are different features, and we also saw some from Angular CLI itself. So you have strict mode by default. You don't have lint and E2E options anymore. You can use RxJS, sorry, NX in case you need those. But now let's move on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade my portfolio, which is actually in Angular 11 right now. Let's upgrade to Angular 12. And in case you are not aware, I can just go to update.angular.io. So let's go ahead and see that. Yeah. So this is the website I refer every time. So you have update.angular.io where you can actually choose from which version to which version you are planning to migrate. So I'm on Angular 11, so I would be migrating to Angular 12. And my app is pretty basic. Do I use Angular Material? I don't. I don't use Angular Material, but I think I use a package. Let's see which one is that. I think it should be video one. Uh, Angular Material config here. Yeah. Okay, I use Angular U2 player, so I think it should be okay if I don't migrate that. But let's see what else, right? So I will keep it to basic. I'm not using Angular Material. Just using the video one. And what I have to do is I have to just upgrade first. And oh, this is nice. So I can just use a copy option from here. Let's run it on the app. And let's see ng update. So first it will upgrade my Angular core and Angular CLI to Angular version 12. And it says I have something. Okay, let's see what has changed. Okay, these are some formatting. So I'll just create a new branch so I don't break my portfolio. Angular 12 update. And yeah, let's run. So it says, okay, I'm using npm. Okay, so what's there? So it says there are some. Okay, so because I'm using a library which uses Angular 9, I think there shouldn't be any problem if I use Angular 12. So I can just use force option to migrate forcefully, and it should be fine because this ngx2 Bulma actually it's my own package. Probably I have to go ahead and upgrade that as well to Angular 12. But as I said, I mean, I don't have any hard dependency on Angular 9, so I should be able to use Angular 12 without breaking anything. And let me know in chat, I mean, which is your favorite feature from Angular 12, what you liked. I mean, I'm sure you might be a little bit disappointed for dropping the support for E2E and Lint, but of course, NX Devtools is there, which gives you everything you need. So go ahead and try it out. So, and the one thing about and cool thing about NX Devtools is if you are planning to migrate your Angular repository to or Angular workspace to an X workspace, it's pretty smooth. I mean, I have never faced any issue migrating it, and give it a try in case you need the linting and everything in future, or just use the linter or Angular ES lint, which is already available. Let's see, we still have few options, a few minutes, so let's see if I can add that, and let's try it out, right? So Angular ES lint. So I remember there is an schematic. So so it's already mentioned in the docs as well that you can use the adding a lint CLI builder. Yeah. So let's try this out once our Angular 12 is migrated. So Angular common HTTP to Angular core. Okay. The migration is done. So what's removed? Let's see. So we now have zone.js. I'm not sure why it was zone.dst zone. And then you have task tracking, test.ts. What's changed here? Let's see. Okay, so zone.js/testing environment. Okay, the path has changed. So okay, that's okay. And now in package.json, I think all the packages will be upgraded to 12.0, which is fine. Angular.json, let's see what's here. AOT, yeah, actually I missed this. How did I? So prod mode is by default in Angular 12, so you don't have to do ng build -fn prod anymore. Let's try that out. So I can just do ng build, and I think it should build in prod mode by default now. Let's try. It was always, I think, an issue that you have to actually, especially for someone who is actually trying Angular, right? So you have to teach them, okay, whenever you want to create a production build, you have to do ng build -fn prod. Now you don't have to do that. So you just have to tell them just do ng build, and it will be your application build will be generated. So let's see, and generating application bundles. I have already disabled the support for, yeah, another feature, right? So as I was just doing the build, support for I11 has been deprecated, and it is supposed to be dropped in Angular 13. So convince your organization to actually drop the support for I11 now, because it won't be supported by Angular anymore. But yeah, let's see let's see. Yeah, so this is prod mode. The reason being, I remember the bundle size, right? So I have my styles, and let's see. Hmm. So 228 styles. My styles are pretty huge because I'm using Bulma CSS probably, and main.js. Okay, this is 91 uh, KB. Polyfills is 133 KB. Okay, somehow polyfills are huge. And what else? So you have main.js, which is 9 KB, and then I have some lazy loaded bundles. Okay, so I can see, let's see my production build size, because somehow I see this is reduced. This has reduced. I'm not sure why, but okay. So you have, okay. Why do I have map files? Is there anything which is enabled? Source map true. Okay, this is strange. Let's see. Source map. I don't need source map in production build. Hmm. So this is configuration, and this is production configuration. So I remember there are some flags which has changed now. So source map is false in case of production. Okay, and okay, I still have to do prod mode to actually remove the source maps. That's okay. I mean, I still need that. So I'll say, okay, ng build -fn prod. I was like, I don't have to pass prod flag, but yes, I mean, we can just remove. And what else? Vendor chunk is true, and here vendor chunk should be false. And the extra optimization, right? So you have critical inlining of CSS. It's true now. It's true by default now. In case you are using Angular 11.2.0, it was false. So keep that in mind. Option prod is deprecated. Use configuration. Okay. So this is what they mean. So you don't have to use -FN prod, but you have to use configuration is production. Okay. So ng build -FN configuration, and then you have to pass production. And even in your dev mode, the prod build will be by default. So you can see, yeah. So you have my main bundle is 267 KB, polyfills, yeah, around 37 KB. Runtime is 2 KB, and again, my lazy loaded chunks are really small because this is not a huge application. And let's do ng surf to check this out. And meanwhile, let's see this, right? So we wanted to try Angular ESLint. Let's do that. So you have new application, and then you have to do ng add Angular ESLint schematic. Let's do that. Is there any extra changes? Okay, I can just roll it back. And let's add Angular ESLint. Okay, so meanwhile I'm running the schematics just to give again a shout out to James Henry. So uh, I think it's a great addition that he has worked on Angular ESLint, making it possible to actually add a linter. So in case you want to support his work, you can actually support him on Buy Me a Coffee. Probably it should be here somewhere. I mean, okay, I'm not sure why he don't have about. That's strange. I mean, I saw this, but yeah, support me with a coffee. So you can support his work. Just buy him a coffee. I mean, he is saving a lot of your time. So, and he has been working on many open source projects. So support his work by just buying him a coffee, right? And let's go back. So, okay, so we are adding this Angular ESLint schematic, and what is the question? So this is, okay, so Angular needs schematic analytics. Okay, this is my, anyways, demo projects, I'll say yes. Now, there is a question, the package schematic 12 will be installed and executed. Would you like to proceed? Yes, I want to. Let's see how smooth is this, right? I mean, just want to try it out because I never did it before. And as now Angular 12 is released, no linter is there. So let's add Angular ESLint. So it is creating a ESLint RC, and we detected that you have a single project in workspace, no existing linter wired up. So we are configuring ESLint for you automatically. That's nice. And done. Oh, so let's see the rules. So they are okay. So there are rules which is already added. So what we have directory selectors, which we used to have same component selectors. Okay, these are two by default, but you can add more rules. Let's see the documentation. Where do we have that? Do we have something convert? Okay, so you also have a migration in case you want to convert from TSLint to ESLint. I think NX also offers you schematic with Angular 12 release. Uses in NX monorepo. So yep, ESLint plugin. Template parser, plugin template, add relevant dependencies. Okay, what about rules? Pre-made configs available. Going fully manual, not recommended. Okay. Notes for ESLint prettier. Okay, so in case you want to use ESLint plugin prettier, you can also add or extend the plugins. Okay, let's see notes on performance, background, understanding the trade-off. As you have fully understand from the first section, there is a set of tool not designed optimized for the specific use case. Okay. Okay, so you can see these are the codelizer rule. I mean, if you are not aware of codelizer, it was created and maintained by the Angular team itself. I think Ninku created it and it was supported by community. So you might have added few rules by yourself. And now there are ESLint equivalent. So in case you are looking for the similar rules which existed in your modelizer, you can actually add these rules which are available here. And maintainability max inline declaration. Okay. So I think they have equivalent for all the rules which existed in Portalizer. So that's pretty good. There are few which is not available, but they have given an explanation as well. So that's good. And yeah, so I think most of the rules are available. Oh, and the migration was really smooth. I couldn't see any error, and it's done. So with a single command, I just added the ESLint to my application. That's pretty cool. And let's see package.json. So because this is something which I wanted to check. Okay, so you can see there is one problem here. So if I added an Angular linter, and now let's go back to architect. So you can see build, serve, extract, test, and then you have lint option here available here. And in Angular 12, CLI has removed this one, so you can actually add one command here by your own. Probably in case someone wants to make a contribution, just go ahead and add this. You can do this by just adding a lint command here. So now I can just do ng lint, or let's see npm run. Let's see if ng lint works. Yeah, so it worked. But in case you want to add the lint command here, so you can run something on your CI, npm run lint, just add this into your package.json. That's it. Because as I said, Angular 12 has dropped linting and as well as E2E, so you will not find those commands here as well. Even though even you use Cypress in future, just check if these commands are added here. If not, you can just write your own command, right? So you can just do E2E and then bring your whatever E2E framework or library you want to bring in and just add the command here. So that's it. I think that's what I wanted to tell you about linting. And now let's go back. And this is done. So even the Angular 12 migration is done, and I can see my application. Let's see. Yep. Don't see any error here. Inspect. Let's see if I have. I'm not sure, but this all these errors are due to the Google Ads, YouTube ads. So you can see a lot of endpoints are pointing towards YouTube because I have integrated this YouTube video on my portfolio. Now you can just go to Tech Talks with Santosh and you can see all the previous episodes and upcoming episodes on my blog itself. I mean, my portfolio itself. So you don't have to actually go to YouTube probably and just watch it here if you want to. I mean, it loads a little bit slow. I'm trying to make it work by using lazy loading, but yeah, that's something for tomorrow. Yeah. So done. I mean, I have migrated my entire application. So small application, to be frank, small portfolio to Angular 12. And we also saw the different features which we have in Angular 12. So that's it for the day. I think we took around 50 minutes to see everything and probably expect a blog post. So I'll dig through each and every breaking change, every features whenever I get some time. So I'll just write about it as well and probably migrating to TSLint to ESLint. I'll also try to cover those as well. So yep, that's it for the day. And in case you like some feature, just go ahead and give it a shout out on Twitter to the team, Angular team, or the contributors who are actually making Angular framework what it is, right? So they are making it great. So just give a shout out to all the developers who are actually contributing to Angular. And that's it. And probably we will see some new additions to Angular in future. And you can, of course, refer to the roadmap, right? So you have a lot of things coming up. You can just go to angular.io and let's see what's in roadmap, right? So you have, mm, conceptual references, release information. Yeah. So this is the roadmaps. Let's see what's in progress. Angular DevTools, yes, this is nice. I mean, Angular DevTools is coming. It was supposed to be with Angular 12, and it will be still available in Angular 12, but some minor versions. So just wait for a few more, probably till next month. So I think you will get Angular DevTools. It's really nice, and automatic test environment tear down. I'm not sure what is this. Deprecated remove I11 support. So it's already deprecated. Now you just have to, I mean, it has to be removed, which is in Angular 13. And ES 2017 as default output language. That's great. So revamp performance dashboard enhanced Angular material component by integrating MDC web. I mean, this is a migration which is going parallelly with Angular material. So they are migrating to material design component. So they share the both library, share the common library. So that's what it's all about. Remove legacy view engine. I think again, view engine has been dropped. I think that's what it is done. I think, and now Angular uses Google also uses Vue IV internally, so they have also dropped support for Vue engine, and it will be removed completely in future versions. So that's something which is parallelly going on. Publish guides on advanced concept. I think this is something cool, right? So with few in few last few months, Angular added all this error codes, which is really nice. So you can go to error references and you will find answer to most of the widely uh, errors which are shown to you, and you will also find the I mean way to actually resolve those as well. Hey Jitendra, thanks for following. Update RA2 strategy. I think this RFC is already closed. So Angular uses IV. This is also released. Yeah, I also want to talk about this. Angular library. It was earlier, if you remember, you have to do uh, Angular. Sorry, whenever you are creating a library, you have to do Angular ng build -fn prod for your library to publish it on npm. So now you can actually go ahead and publish IV library, but they don't call it as IV libraries. It's a mixed mode. So it's a mixed mode. So it actually has some code which is IV related. So if you're wondering how IV APIs are public now, so it's not. So Angular team has just made sure that whatever APIs are stable, only those codes are generated as part of your library. So not entire code is actually generated as an IV instruction. So some code which will be generated as an IV instruction, and then some code which will be like your normal JavaScript. And that's what these Angular library is using IV. But before you migrate, remember this. So IV libraries which will be published will not be compatible with lower version. It was not the case till now. So you have to keep this in mind. The libraries, Angular libraries, which will be generated using this IV instructions will be only compatible with Angular 12 and above. So you cannot use it below. And of course, RxJS migration. And these are futures. So let's not talk about futures. I mean, they are still going on. This is something which component level code splitting APIs. Let's see. I mean, optional ng modules. So this is something many developers want to see, even including me. I was a huge supporter of Angular modules until unless I had to actually go ahead and generate web components and use it in React application. So I dropped that idea. I don't support like ng modules that much. Yes, they are good. They are good until unless you have to work with the web components. And my friend Lars has more opinion on optional ng modules. So, I mean, yes, I do support optional ng modules, and that's a good thing is that they are not dropping it totally. They are making it optional, which will be beneficial in case you are trying to create web components because it will just drop an extra layer. So, yep, I'm looking forward to this feature whenever it gets released. Let's see. Zone.js opt-out. So this is cool. Yeah, then thanks. So Zone.js, I'm sure everyone knows because you have been using it from long time, right? So Angular 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we are still using Zone.js. So there is work which is going on to make Zone.js opt out. But right now there are many overheads. If they drop support today, you have to actually call all the change detection manually, which the Angular team doesn't want to do. So it's in discussion, I would say, internally, how to make it smooth or smooth experience for all the developers, though, so they don't have to uh, write extra code. So let's see whenever it comes in. And this is the one of the widely asked feature, and this feature exists from Angular 4. So we are now on Angular 12, that Angular form should be strictly typed, and it's not. So let's see. I mean, but they have done some optimization, uh, some implementation in past. For example, they made at least they dropped the group if you are using form group. So you cannot use it in your validators, right? So, and they strictly type the validators as well. That's one thing they have done. Min max validators are there now. So it's going on. I mean, the problem is if they make Angular form strictly, so I mean, uh, strict type, it will break a lot of applications as of today. So let's see. I mean, what happens in future, but yeah. And Webpack 5 support. So Webpack 5 support is also available with Angular 12. So in case you want to go ahead and try out Webpack 5, probably module federation, you can just go ahead and do it. If you don't want to actually think a lot about Webpack 5 and modified federation, there is a library created by, let's see, so Manfred has actually created a library to work with module federation, and you can go ahead and use that. So that's available. I think that's it. So that's it for the day. I mean, as I said, just go ahead and give a shout out on Twitter or any platform which you use to the developers who has worked extensively and made all this release possible. James Henry, of course, deserves a shout out, and NX Devtools, who actually who made sure that you have linting and E2E available in your framework and new application whenever you want to start with. Huge shout out to NX Devtools team as well, and NGRX7. NGRX12 is also released, so you can go ahead and upgrade your NGRX version to 12. So that's it for the day. And another thing is, of course, be safe. I mean, in India, the situations are really bad. So make sure you take the vaccine. Don't rush for vaccine. I mean, in case you have a lot of crowd, so just try to avoid it for some days. Be at home, be safe, and whenever you get the appointment, just go ahead and take the vaccine. And we will meet again next week. So yeah, that's it for the day. And see ya. Bye bye.